Tom, Greg Hunter, Blue and Gold News. So,
Okay.
you talk to us about Darren. You've worked with him. So, what is it about him that has made him successful? What was it that made you pass up another job and want to come here?
First and foremost, about Coach DeVries, his character, his core values, and what he's about, just his DNA, is second to none. He's an unbelievable human being. One of the best people, not even in basketball, one of the best people I know there in my life. Just what his priorities in life and just how he lives his day-to-day life. It's a great example for our young man and for our staff, quite frankly. As a basketball coach, extremely detail-oriented, pays attention to everything, and does an unbelievable job with the guys, just as far as relating to them and explaining the why to them, and really can pick and choose, and just has a inherent gift of when to press, when to kind of step off the brake a little bit, when to really push and when not to. And I think just his attention to detail and his competence and as much time he puts into even a simple thing as a practice plan or a scouting report, the guys have a tremendous amount of respect for him because of his knowledge and his preparation.
You've worked at higher levels before. Now you're back here. You know, scheme-wise, system-wise, I don't know if it matters, but does what he has done work in the Big 12, work at the Power 5 level?
We're going to see real soon, aren't we? No. Yeah, I mean, yeah, basketball's basketball, right? Yes, to answer your question, do I think it's going to work at this level? Absolutely, I think it does. You can just tell with our team. I don't know if you came to practice in June and come to practice today, it's a different team. And it's credit to him, just how much those guys have bought in, how much they've improved. The cohesiveness, obviously, we basically started with a brand new team, and the way these guys have gelled, we got a long way to go yet, but if you just looked at the progress that we've done since June and July, it's to me very impressive. Did I answer all your questions? I think you threw a lot at me. Okay.
So how do you, I'll keep going. So, how do you fit with him? I mean, is this been a perfect marriage? Are there different philosophies?
Is there such thing as a perfect marriage?
Well, no.
Who has that? Raise their hand.
I'm waiting 23 years in, so.
Okay. Number one, I think there's and I can only speak for me, but I think there's a mutual level of trust. I know that no matter what he says or how he leads me or the guidelines he gives me, it's about care and it's about trust. I trust him impeccably with both my professional career and my personal life, and I would hope that he feels the same way. I think we play off each other very well, and this is year 3 going on and being with him. And, you know, like any marriage, to use your word, it takes some time to get used to, but I think after a little bit of time at Drake and now obviously here at WVU, that we both know, I kind of know what makes him mad and what makes him happy and how he wants things to look and how what he likes and what he doesn't like, and so I hope I can do a good job assisting him in every aspect of running a program.
Coach Justin Jackson with the Dominion Post. How you doing?
Hey Justin, what's happening?
You know, obviously Coach DeVries was in here, and you know, you're going in an exhibition game. You're obviously not going to just open up the playbook in an exhibition game. But in that same kind of sense, fans that are going to come in and see this team for the first time, I mean, what will they kind of see? I mean, you know, what is a realistic expectation of what to kind of expect?
It's a good question. I mean, and I'll answer the best I can, but we don't know. We haven't. These guys haven't played in front of fans before or played in a game that counts before together. But you know, we would like to see a team that plays hard and competes at the highest level. Is it going to be perfect? Probably not going to be perfect. Is it going to be sloppy at times? There's a good chance of that happening. Yeah. But hopefully, the fans and everyone else watching will see a team that plays really hard, who has a lot of buy-in and who play together, and they play to win, and they play for the name on the front of the jersey more so than the name on the back of the jersey.
In terms of even like a style of play kind of question, fans will come in tomorrow and you know, maybe you guys shoot a lot of threes tomorrow, but that won't necessarily be the identity, right?
No, I mean, this is, again, it's not a cop-out, I don't think. It's just, this is an evolving process. This is a work in progress. You know, we're in the second mile of a marathon, and it's different when you have, 7 or 8 returners and you kind of know what you're getting here. But again, I think the number one thing is a team that plays hard, that competes, has a little bit of grit about them, and then a team that plays together and plays for one another. I think that's the most important thing. I think the rest of it will take care of itself if we can get there.
Tom, you mentioned things that make Darren happy and mad. We haven't seen him mad yet. Maybe we'll start to see tomorrow. But give us an example. What is it that he really likes, and when he gets mad, what is it that forces that?
Again, this isn't earth-shattering stuff. He likes to win, and he gets mad when he loses. How about that? No. It's, as I said earlier, win or lose, he likes a team that's together. He likes a togetherness and a unity about his team in the locker room. Guys pulling for one another, guys more selfless than selfish. That's really, really important to him. Buy-in, coachability, and then probably what upsets him most is the opposite of that, right? Selfishness, and guys who are playing more for themselves, and just lack of competing. He's a very, very competitive human being. He was as a player, he is as a coach, and again, I'm speaking for him, but I think what probably upsets him the most is just a lack of competitive spirit.
What's important for y'all? I'm sorry, Kevin Kendall.
Hey, Kevin.
Hey, what's important for you in that regard? Team building, all those kind of things. What stands out as important for you?
Yeah, I think as an assistant coach, at the end of the day, our job is to make his job easier in every aspect. And so whatever he values, I better value, and I do value, and try to identify problems and solve problems as much as I can without taking stuff off his plate. And getting these, the head coach is the head coach, and he wears a different hat. Assistant coaches wear a little different hat, and so always reinforcing his message, and maybe sometime doing a little more explaining and explaining the why more than a head coach would. But reinforcing his message and just keep spreading his message and continue to try to build that culture and environment that he wants in the locker room and on the court.
You've obviously been through, this process before, the first exhibition kind of game, and opening up a new team, new season. But is there anything special about, doing it at a new place
for sure. I think you mentioned what brought me. I know the great tradition at WVU. I know the great fan base, how important West Virginia is to the entire state, how much they've won in the past through multiple coaches. Obviously, Coach Huggins is a Hall of Fame coach that I met when he was at Cincinnati, and I was literally a kid. Coach Beeline, we competed against him in the Big Ten. I mean, just unbelievable coaches here. So it's a special place that has a special place in a lot of people's heart in this state, and it has a lot of pride. And so it's just, we're excited about that. This is the first time I'd say that in my career, and probably most people's careers, that you have literally no one who's I guess Amani and Buck are the exception that have played together. And it's truly a brand new team. I've never experienced that before. I've joined a team, been the new guy, but never where everyone's new and everyone's doing it together. So we're anxious to get started. These guys have had a really, really good summer, a really good fall, and like I said, I think there's been progress, and we're excited to see what shows on the court tomorrow.
Yeah, I was gonna say, that's probably the biggest question, right? Just what it's going to look like.
Yeah,
right?
exactly right. Yeah, when the curtains get unveiled and you're on the stage and everyone's watching you, we'll see what that looks like.
Hey, Tom.
Yes.
Tom, I'm Mike. I work for 24/7 Sports.
Hey.
Can you just kind of take me through your off season, like the coaching change? You go to one school to another, you end up here. That's not. I'm sure there's a good story behind it, but it's a bit.
I don't know. It's a good story. Mine, I was basically up until last week. I was living out of a suitcase since April. I was very, very happy at Drake. I enjoy Drake. I have a wife and 3 small kids. We really, Des Moines is a great place to raise a family, and then, that's part of the deal, right? It's the life we've chosen, but all of a sudden you get uprooted. I did, as you mentioned, was at another place for a little while, and I chose to come here I think I basically answered why, between Coach DeVries and my relationship with him, and just the great tradition and values of what West Virginia University stands for is the reason I wanted to come here. And So finally, I guess if you're asking about my personal life, I moved into a house about 2 weeks ago, finally, after living in a suitcase for basically 5 months. My family's here, and we're ready to get started. I'm not even sure if I answered your question, honestly.
No, I don't know what the norms are in the profession. I have no idea, and it seems like coaches do move a lot. But like just to have that brief stay at Vanderbilt, and then the heart wants what the heart wants, I guess. I don't know. Are there apprehensions about making a move like that? Is it just you do what you want to do and?
Well, no, my family never moved to Nashville, so that I was there, yeah, but it'd be different if my wife and 3 kids moved there and we moved into a house and that kind of thing. They were in Des Moines, obviously. You make the move, and the hardest part is you make the move, let's just call it arbitrarily April 1st, well, your kids got to finish school, so they're not moving. So basically you go 2 months without being around your family, and that's probably the hardest part. Now, once your family, you get together, it is what it is. But my kids have loved Morgantown this far. They've obviously been in school. They love their school. My wife loves the community. The people have been so welcoming and so friendly, and it's really cool, again, to see a place where the entire state values West Virginia so much, and this university means so much to so many people.
Coach, I'm Bob Burchell from
Bob.
everywhere. Anyway, as an assistant coach, I mean, you talked about your relationship with Coach and how you trust him and how he obviously must trust you too. What's it like, though? Coaches have their own philosophies, they have their own beliefs. Sometimes they go from one coach to a different one and have to start all over again as far as that. What's it like trying to be the alter ego of the head guy? I mean, and knowing that someday along the line you really want to have the same kind of job.
I'm sorry, I don't understand. What's it like to be an assistant?
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm asking. You have to. You wind up not running your own system. You wind up not doing your own kind of basketball.
I've been fortunate for all the head coaches I've worked for. Number one, as I said, they've all been really good people. Anyone I've ever worked for is still a friend and a dear friend, and I consider them a member of my family, and I'm in close contact with everyone. You do have to adapt. Everyone's obviously different, and again, I've been fortunate where they've been great mentors for me, and I get to pick and choose as an assistant. If I put my head space in a place where if I was a head coach, what I like, what I don't like, and you kind of gather that, and you have to keep it in a notebook or keep it on a laptop and see what you do. But yeah, every coach is different. Like I said, I think earlier, it takes a little bit of time to get that marriage together and get to know one another. But I think Coach DeVries and I work very, very well together. And like I said, I trust him explicitly with my professional career and personal life. And I learn something new from him every day. He's such a bright coach, and he's so innovative, and he's constantly thinking. He's a deep, deep thinker. And the status quo is never good enough for him. So he's always looking for ways to improve himself personally. Probably first and foremost, how can he become a better coach is very, very important to him. And then obviously, how does that relate to the players, and how does that translate to the players in the program that he's running? How can he be a better CEO? So I learn from him every day, and I'm amazed by him and just so very thankful to be around him.
Your background a little bit, where'd you grow up? When and why did you gravitate to basketball as your career?
You really want me to bore you with this?
You can give us a Reader Digest version. So.
I grew up in southern Minnesota, a little small town in southern Minnesota called Faribault. I was a very, very average high school player. I ended up being a student manager at the University of Minnesota for Coach Clem Haskins. Why did I gravitate towards coaching? Is my high school coach is a Hall of Fame high school coach in the state of Minnesota, and maybe because I was on the bench so much. One time I remember during a game, he looked at me because I was shouting or saying something, and he looked at me and he said, literally during a game, he said, have you ever thought about coaching? And I said, no, and I was maybe a senior or a junior in high school. He said you'd be a good coach someday. And he was a great role model for me. Again, like I told you, any head coach I've worked for, I've been fortunate that there's such good people and great coaches. And I had a high school coach who was a Hall of Fame high school coach. And so that he kind of encouraged me to get into coaching. And like I said, I was a very, very average player. And so I was fortunate enough to get on to be a manager at Minnesota. And kind of, my first stop was for a Hall of Fame high school or college coach, Billy Donovan. And he was my first mentor and is still a good friend to this day. So my first stop was at the University of Florida. And every coach I've worked for has given me a tremendous amount of freedom to grow and adapt, to make mistakes and to learn. And I haven't worked for a micromanager or a guy who, you know, you just kind of do your job and do your job to your best of your ability, represent them and the institution you work for the best of your ability, and don't embarrass them. But other than that, they give me a lot of freedom and a lot of leeway. So I've been very lucky.
You know, obviously, when you very first started your coaching career, the ideals of building a team were completely different back then. Is there, I mean, you talked earlier about the challenge of, you know, the whole team being new, which is kind of where you're going. Is the genie too far out of the bottle to sort of get back to building teams the old ways, or are those days just?
I don't know if it's out of the bottle. It's a new day and age, and no, we're not going back. To use your analogy, you're not putting the genie back in the bottle, but you can still build teams. You can still have programs, and it's you just have to do it a different way, and you have to adapt to it. And it's the new reality, and it's not changing. So either you adapt, or you go away, or you do something else. But yeah, to answer your question, can you still build programs? Can you still have chemistry and a group working together and kind of rowing the boat in the same direction? Absolutely, you can. It's just a different way. It's the new reality of college sports in general, and it's you got to embrace it, and you got to adapt to it and learn from it, or go choose to do something else. But yeah, I think the way Coach wants to do it here, we want to build programs, and we want to build teams that people can identify with and people will be proud of, and the state will really, really cheer for.
You embrace it as a coach. You think it stinks for the fans? From their perspective, I know you're not a fan.
Yeah, I can't speak for the fans. I mean, you'd have to ask them that. But you know, if you look at college football this year and just the numbers, I don't think the numbers say it stinks too much. I think from attendance and from TV ratings and stuff, to me, the fans, I don't know, you probably know more than I do, but it looks like the ratings aren't dropping anywhere and the attendance isn't dropping. So, again, I think they adapt to it, and as long as the programs they're cheering for and they support do the things we talked about, playing together, playing for one another, and represent the right way, I think the fans will embrace them.
Keenan Cummings. Oh, sorry.
Oh, no, you can correct me if you think I'm wrong, but yeah.
Keenan Cummings with Rivals. I wanted to know, what have you learned about recruiting here in a short period of time, and what's your reception been like?
Reception's been very, very, very positive. You're talking about reception from the recruits it's been very positive. Again, they know the great tradition, from coast to coast. When you say West Virginia, they know about the great tradition. They know about the great coaches who've been here in the past, multiple coaches, Hall of Fame coaches. They know about deep NCAA tournament runs. They know about kind of the identity of the program being blue collar and tough and just playing hard. So the reception's been very, very good. I think once you get a kid on campus, they're just taken back by the beauty of the area and just how nice everything is. This facility we're in right now, the Coliseum, the fan base. Nowadays with social media, as soon as offer comes out, hey, I got an offer from West Virginia. I mean, they're just inundated with positive fan interaction, and they just can't believe. When they talk about the other schools recruited them, they said your fan base is second to none. It's just as far as come to West Virginia. We love West Virginia. That type of thing. You had a second part of that question. What was it?
What have you learned in a short period of time? Anything that surprised you, or was it pretty much what you expected?
It's like I said, I've been doing this for a while, and I do it. I know how powerful the brand is. I know the great tradition. I know how it's resonated with players and their parents and fans from coast to coast. So I kind of knew what to expect, but it probably even exceeded my expectations.
You said you had kids. How old are your children?
I have an older son who's 29, who lives in Nashville, and then I have I should know this, right? They're my kids. I have an 8th grade son who's 13. I have a 5th grade son who's 10, and then I have a 2nd grade daughter who's 8 who runs the house. Yes.
Coach, thank you for your time.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.